Hi, I'm Rachel and let me introduce you to the Saucony Endorphin Speed 5. Now, could this be the fastest running shoe without a carbon plate? Let's find out. First, for some quick stats. We've got 36mm in the heel, 28mm in the forefoot, which gives a nice 8mm drop. It weighs 237 grams in the men's and just over 200 grams for the women's. So it's not as light as a carbon plated shoe, but it's still a very sort of lightweight offering for a daily trainer. Now, this shoe also, as the name suggests, sits within Saucony's Endorphin collection. And to give a bit of context, you've got the Endorphin trainer, which is heavier than this shoe. It's good for daily training, easier runs. It's a bit heavier, it's got a higher stack. You've then got this, the Endorphin Speed 5, which is the latest of the popular speed range. And for some context, as the name suggests, the Endorphin Speed 5 sits within Saucony's Endorphin collection. But where does it sit in this collection? Well, this shoe is faster than the Endorphin trainer, which is heavier, it's got a higher stack, it's great for sort of daily training, everyday runs. But arguably it is a bit slower than the Endorphin Pro 4, which has a full-length carbon plate. It's about 20 grams lighter, more responsive, a bit faster. Then you've got the even faster Saucony Endorphin Elite 2. That's also got a carbon plate. It weighs about the same as the shoe, about 200 grams for women in this case, but it's super fast. It's got a higher price point. That's your fastest shoe. Even though the Speed 5 isn't the fastest of the Endorphin range, that doesn't mean it's slow. Not by any means. So why is that? Well, first things first, it doesn't have a carbon plate. I'll throw it out there. It's not a carbon plated shoe. However, what it does have is a nylon plate. It's a semi-rigid nylon plate, which means that you can bend the shoe and actually have a bit of flex. Now, for context, carbon plated shoes are rigid. You wouldn't be able, they would be like that. You wouldn't be able to move them at all. And from a foot standpoint, that's not as good. The foot likes to move, to flex. That's good for your foot strength, which is very, very important. Carbon plate shoes hold your foot in place. Yes, they're faster, but they're not something you want to use every day. We actually do have a very good vodcast on foot health with Sophie Rayworth and podiatrist Liam McCarthy, so you should watch that. But anyway, back to this shoe. It's the nylon plate gives a lot of speed, but it gives a lot of flex. So you've got the best of both worlds. You can race in this shoe, but you can also do a lot of your daily training in this shoe without sort of damaging your foot health. So this nylon plate, which you can see poking out here, the orange bit, and here. Now that's sandwiched between two layers of Power-On PB foam. That's a Saucony phrase, not something I just made up. Now, Power-On PB foam, it's got foam beads in it. It's very lightweight, it's very responsive, and the result is something that's very light, very snappy, but also very, very comfortable, which is great because a lot of very, very fast shoes are fast, but they might not be the most comfortable. So this strikes, again, a really, really good balance there. It's not Saucony's most advanced foam. Saucony also has Incredi-Run foam, which is used in its fastest model, the Endorphin Elite 2. Quote, Saucony says that it gives unheard of levels of energy return, which is quite a statement, and it is very responsive, but for this shoe, Power-On foam works really, really well. How does this shoe fit? Well, in most running brands, I, for context, am a UK size 6. In this shoe, a 6 is a tiny bit snug, so if you're going for the shoe or a Saucony shoe, I would recommend going up half a size to what you normally wear, just for a little bit of comfort and to give your feet some literal wiggle room, which is always good. Other than that, I find the shoe really, really comfortable. It fits really well. Over the foot itself, the upper, which is this new engineered mesh upper, it's very light, it's very comfortable. A lot of shoes have a kind of plasticky upper. This upper fits over the midsole really, really well. It locks down the foot nicely without being too tight. It's really great. It's just, you can just put it on and just go and not worry about any problems, no blisters for me. As I said, you would just probably need to size up about half a size just to get that really comfortable fit. Okay, so we've talked about the nylon plate, the Power Run PB foam, and the fit, but what's it actually like to run in? Well, you would look at this shoe and you think, oh, that's a nice sort of daily trainer. And I essentially thought that when I put it on as well. I knew it wasn't Saucony's fastest shoe, but I knew it wasn't the slowest shoe either. For context, I went out for a run the other day. I was aiming for an easy pace and I was moving about at least 10 or 15 seconds quicker per kilometre in this shoe. I wasn't intending to do that, it just happened. It just feels so snappy, but not in an aggressive way. This shoe has what Saucony calls its speed roll technology, which means that you can really glide through the transition very smoothly, in quite a springy way, but in a comfortable way. So what I like about this shoe is it almost guides you to faster speeds. It's particularly good if say you have gone from a sort of everyday trainer without any form of plate, whether, you know, it doesn't need to be a carbon plate or a nylon plate, and you just want to be guided into those faster sessions. This is a really great training shoe to ease you into it, really. Looks aren't everything with this shoe. I mean, you look at it and you think, yeah, that's a running shoe. I'll be honest, this colourway isn't really my thing. It reminds me a little bit of like a My Little Pony shoe. It's like primary school girly girl, but that's just my opinion. You may love this, but even if you are on my side and aren't quite au fait with this colour scheme, don't worry, because this shoe comes in lots of different colourways, so you'll have plenty of choice. So besides, the colourway doesn't impact your performance unless you're staring at your shoe the whole time, staring at the colours, which may impact your performance. It's not a factor, but I thought I would flag that anyway. Now, I think this is a really, really great shoe, but who exactly is this shoe for and when would you wear it? Well, as we've discussed, this is a surprisingly fast shoe. It's very springy, very responsive, but it's also very well cushioned. In addition to the midsole being very supportive and soft, you've also got a lot of cushioning around the heel collar here, which just adds that sort of plushness and level of cushioning that you need, especially when you're going longer distances. With that in mind, this is a really, really great shoe, in my opinion, for people who want to go fast on race day, who want to push for PBs, but who want to do so in a more comfortable way. Carbon plated shoes can be quite aggressive. They try to be as lightweight as possible, so you often don't get as much cushioning around the collar here. The midsoles are snappier, less forgiving, I guess. That gets you faster, arguably, but if you want to be comfortable, this is a fantastic solution. Also, this shoe comes in at an RRP of £180, which compared with carbon plated shoes is actually very good value. If you're looking for a brand new running shoe with a carbon plate, I don't think you will find one for less than £200 these days. They're quite an investment, so if you want a more affordable race day option, put this one on your list, because this could be a really, really great solution. It's more affordable than a carbon plated shoe, it's more forgiving, more comfortable, arguably, and it's really, really great in that sense. That said, if you do still want to do your races in a carbon plated shoe, this shoe still has a place in your shoe rotation. When you're training for a race, you go through easy runs, recovery runs, speed sessions, and this is a really, really great shoe to use for your speed sessions. So tempo runs, threshold runs, maybe even interval sessions. As we said, because there's a bit of flex there, it's a bit more forgiving on your foot, so your foot's gonna enjoy running in it more and be a bit healthier than running in a carbon plated shoe. You can still get a lot of miles out of this in training, so it makes it quite an economical choice for your faster sessions. And if you do choose to race still in a carbon plated shoe on race day, you can sort of save that up for the special occasion and get a lot of real mileage done in here and be pretty comfortable throughout. The Endorphin Speed 5 is basically what we call a super trainer. It doesn't have a carbon plate, but it's still very fast. With that in mind, for a bit of comparison, it's a bit like the Hoka Max 6. Also doesn't have a carbon plate, doesn't even have a nylon plate, but it is very fast. It's similarly got a very springy, toe-off, very responsive ride. The Max 6 from Hoka is £140, so it's a little bit more affordable than this one, but similar kind of shoe. This shoe is also a bit like the Asics Super Blast, which again doesn't have a carbon plate or a nylon plate, but it has trampoline-like cushioning thanks to the humongous amount of midsole foam that it has. What I would note about the Super Blast, it's a little bit heavier than the shoe. It's a bit pricier than this shoe as well. It also has a stack height in the heel, which is above 40 millimeters. Now the legal limit for stack heights under World Athletics rules is 40 mil. So if you want to race in a shoe that is legal and within the running law, this is a good option, whereas the Super Blast is illegal. But whatever, it's a great training shoe. All in all, while I'm not a massive fan of this exact colorway, I am a big fan of this shoe. Personally, it's definitely got a place in my running shoe rotation. Even if it isn't something that I personally would race in, I would definitely recommend it as a race shoe for those who want to potentially avoid carbon plate shoes or want something a little bit more comforting and forgiving. Other than that, if you want to move a bit faster in your training runs, this is a great shoe for you. Tempos, thresholds, even intervals. As I said, it's going to serve you well. It's going to be comfortable. It's a box ticker for me, really.